Rev up your engines! Now here's yet another good reason. Keep your old car going as long as possible and don't buy a car in the near future, if at all possible. I was reading an article, the Wall Street Journal, and they're saying it's going to be a seller's market for cars, new and used, for quite some time. And I tend to agree with them. With the coronavirus, they weren't making as many cars. Now if people want to buy cars, they don't have the backlog of cars. They're charging more money for them. And then when that happens, guess what? The price of used cars goes sky high. If you price used cars lately, they are sky high. This is a very bad time to be buying a car. When it is a seller's market, you do not buy cars unless you absolutely have to. I mean, if you found a fantastic deal on a car, maybe somebody can't drive anymore, or somebody's moving to Hawaii and they're not bringing their car and you get a great deal, fine. But if you're going out in the market and looking for one, this is one of the worst times of all times to buy a new or used car. You're not going to get that good of a deal. Listen to Scotty, if you don't need a car, keep your old one going as long as you possibly can now, because eventually it will be a buyer's market where cash is king. But presently, it's a seller's market. So it's a very bad time to be buying a car if you don't have to. Keep changing the oil on your old one and take care of it. So what if the paint isn't quite as shiny as you'd like? You're going to save a lot of money not buying one in the near future. It looks like the seller's market's going to last for quite some time. 94 Celica says, I got a 2018 Mercedes-Benz with 5,900 kilometers on it. When I start to move forward, there's black smoke coming from the exhaust. I rarely drive it. My Toyota has 86,000 kilometers. There's no black smoke. Now, you said you hardly ever drive it. Here's my advice. Take it on a highway. Drive it a couple hours at the speed limit. So your kilometers, I'm assuming maybe you're in Canada. So drive it 100 kilometers an hour where it says 100 kilometers an hour for a couple hours. Clean it out. If it stops smoking, it's because you're not driving enough. If it continues to smoke even after that, take it to the dealer. It's under warranty. It's running too rich. And that's all computer run on those Mercedes. They're endless money pits as they age, but it's still under warranty. Take it in if it does it after that. But do drive it first, because if you sit and you hardly drive it at all, they will often run a little bit rich and they need to clean out the engine by running it faster on a highway for a couple hours. Robert in Texas says, you recommend a certain brand of brake pads and it wasn't one I'd seen. Help me. What is it? Okay, it's Akebono, A-K-E-B-O-N-O. It's a Japanese company, and they make brake pads for all kinds of vehicles. And they were the first ones to really make good ceramic pads that were quiet but also lasted a long time. I saw ones that weren't quiet and lasted a long time, made a lot of noise. I saw ones that were very quiet, but they wore out really fast. But the Akebonos are both quiet and they last a long time. And they make them for various cars. They cost more. Like if you go to the cheapest discount one and you see $29 pads and you say, oh, these Akebonos are $59. It's only $30 more, and if you like quality, stopping, saving your life, and not making noise and long life, you'll spend the extra $20-$30. Let me tell you, they are good pads. You know, they don't pay me anything to say it. If somebody else comes out with better ones in that price range, I'd talk about them too. But I try out all kinds of stuff, and most of the ones I tried out either fail because they're made in China and they're super hard and they last, but they make so much noise no one can stand it, or they're a European manufacturer that they're real quiet, but they're so soft the things will wear out in 15,000 miles. So, Akebono is a Japanese company. Buffalo 4570 says, I got a 2013 Honda Civic with 108,000 miles. My trunk light doesn't work. Bulbs don't work. What can I do? Help. Realize for all the bulbs in the car, you have to have power and ground. You got positive electricity from the positive terminal of the battery and negative electricity to ground it. First, check the ground. Could just be the ground's bad, and if the ground's bad, your whole body of the vehicle's negative electricity, you can just cut the ground wire and then just screw it into the body of the car somewhere, drill a hole, screw it inside the trunk, and if that works, great. A lot of times, it's the stupid switch that turns it on. Go to the switch. See if the switch has power. Then, when you open the trunk, you push it down, there's power on one end. Then, when you push the switch up, when you open the trunk, if power doesn't go to the other way, it's a bad switch. It's often just a bad switch. But you got to buy that from Honda. It's probably pretty expensive. You might just want to get a little flashlight and throw it in the trunk instead. Save yourself a lot of money and hassle. From my experience, it's normally the switch breaking on those things. Check the switch first. Art Varkian says, my 99 Mercedes E320 automatic, 62,000 miles of power steering fluid leaking from the boot at the far end of the rack. Is the Mercedes-Benz power steering fluid compatible with AT205? Do you think it might help with the leak? Well, it is. I doubt if it'll help with the leak on a Mercedes. They got so much pressure in them. Give it a try. If you priced how much it costs to replace a Mercedes-Benz power steering rack, you'll probably sell the car. So give it a try. Try 2 or 3 ounces of it in, drive it around for 200 miles and see if it helps. It's compatible with any kind of hydraulic fluid. It's a polymer. It mixes with the stuff. Doesn't hurt anything. But only put 2 or 3 ounces in and see what happens. But I doubt if it's going to fix it when those Mercedes where the seals are gone, and generally that doesn't help. But I mean, what the heck? Give it a try. It's only got 62,000 miles, so it shouldn't even be going in the first place. That's not that many miles to turn in, you know? I mean, my Celica doesn't leak, and it's got 240,000 miles on it, and it's not leaking. It's a lot more turning than 62,000 miles. Redtail says, I'm thinking about buying a 2010 Porsche Panorama Turbo under 70,000 miles. You think it'd be fairly reliable, driving it under 5,000 miles a year? If you can get it cheap, they can be fun second cars. You don't want to put any money into it at all. Now, with less than 70,000 miles, it should be pretty reliable for a little bit of time. But realize it's a Porsche. Maintenance is expensive. They claim anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500 a year maintaining the thing. If you can get it cheap enough, I got a customer that bought one for $6,000 like that. And it was a toy, and he only drove the thing a couple thousand miles a year max, and he has fun with it. But then when he brings it to me and he says the headlights don't work, and I say, well, you know, you're going to fix that. That's going to cost $3,500. I got to buy all these computer modules and stuff. And then he says, oh, what the heck, I don't drive it at night, so I don't care. I won't use the headlights. They can be fun toys to drive, but don't pay much. They're worth absolutely nothing. Don't be one of these guys thinking, oh, I'm getting it for only $20,000. No. If you can get it for $5,000, $6,000 or $7,000 or something, go ahead and have some fun with it. But don't pay much money for it regardless, because they have no resale value, and they're endless money pits with high mileage, and their parts cost a fortune. Hendrick guy says, Scotty, I got an 02 Volkswagen Combi. After years, I know your opinion of German cars. We got a problem. The crank pulley, the harmonic balancer, the rubbers come out and it's bouncing around. We tried to buy a new one, but it costs too much. Can we fix it? Sure, you can fix it. Buy another car. Those Volkswagens are junk. Now, I actually tried to fix one time to save a guy money, and you can't do it. It's metal, then a rubber, and then metal inside. And the rubber degrades, it starts to come apart. You could attempt to weld the metal to metal, but you're never going to be able to weld it perfect, so it'll be off some and it will wobble. Now, if you can find a Dorman, D-O-R-M-A-N, if they make a replacement, buy a Dorman replacement. It'll cost less. Or go to a junkyard, see if you find one that isn't breaking apart, and install that, because Volkswagen parts cost a fortune. They're poorly made, as you've seen. Yours is coming apart, but you can't really fix them. In the olden days, they were solid metal. They worked fine. And some idiot came up with the idea, if we put rubber in the middle, then they make less noise driving the fan belts. What cars make that much noise with fan belts anyways? You know, it's just another stupid German idea of, oh, we want quiet harmonic balancers. Most cars have solid metal ones, and they're quiet. I don't understand. The Germans and their technology, they're insane. You bought it. You're stuck with it, but if Dorman makes one, replace it that way. But you can't fix them. You really can't fix them. Unless you found the world's best welder that could weld it on perfectly, and he'll probably charge you more money to do that than you'd pay for a new one. Nolex says, I got a 2016 Ford Fusion. After a year having it, my Bluetooth went bad. It was under warranty. They fixed it, but it keeps going out. Now, they're not going to do anything about it. I don't have an issue with the cars, except for Bluetooth. Do like I do with my customers and with myself. Throw it away and put an Android in. I got a $150 Android in my Matrix, and it works perfectly fine. You know, you slide it with your fingers. You can play your Spotify music. You can have your phone call and that at the same time, and the maps. You can have everything on it. You know, very simple. It cost $150. It took me like 50 minutes to install it in the vehicle. Forget that. I do have to say that Ford Bluetooth, especially in 2016, was one of the worst I've ever seen. When I had them, sometimes, and I'm a mechanic, it took me a really long time to figure out how to even operate the things. And then as I got older, like yours, which is 4 years old, they just break. And you said you took it in, they fixed it supposedly, but now it doesn't work again. It was a bad system to begin with, and now it's old. My advice, you like the car, you say you don't have any other problems, throw it away and put an Android in. And I mean, you can get a $150 Android on Amazon that works perfectly fine, does a lot more than the Ford one does, and then be happy with that. And if you don't want to deal with putting it in yourself, I do, because I'm cheap and I'm a mechanic, go ahead, take it to one of those stereo joints that sell them and install them and have them do it for you, and you'll be happy, because those things work perfectly fine. The one they put in, it was overpriced, and it was pretty crappy. The software in it was garbage too. The new Android software is fast snap. If you want to spend a little more, you can get the new Android 11 ones, and they're really fast. It'll beat the heck out of the junk that Ford put in that thing in the first place anyway. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.